What inspired me to be a woman of influence is a very good friend and colleague of mine from years ago, whose name is Tracy Bodnerchuk. She approached me a number of months ago asking if I would consider this, and she thought that I had a story that could be interesting for others. So up until that point, of course, I'd heard about the series and think it's really great, but never considered that I had something that would be of interest to others. She got me thinking about it, and I graciously accepted the invitation to speak, because after I thought about it, I thought that maybe there's something I could share that would help others, and that's what I like to do whenever possible. Well, being a guest speaker is a nerve-wracking thing. I do a lot of speaking within my role, as I'm sure many other people do. And it's one of those things that no matter how many times you've done it, it can be nerve-wracking. But once you get started, once you remember what the real purpose is and the aim is, it becomes a natural thing to do. And especially since you're talking about, or I'm talking about, my own experience, my own life, it makes it easier than a corporate speech, but at the same time, again, my aim was to hopefully have everybody walk away with some idea as to how they could do something different tomorrow. So that's what my real focus was, and it felt great to be able to share some of those experiences, especially if it helps somebody. Challenges every day. I guess the trick is, how do you turn a challenge into an opportunity? And I think that's where part of the hard work lies. So you can always look at something and say, this is bad or it's not great, and it probably is true, but then you have to stop that and think about, now how do I turn this into something that could actually even be an opportunity? So you just take them one at a time, deal with them, and move on. The advice that I would give today's audience is to think for themselves, are they the next woman of influence speaker? Because as I mentioned, everybody has something to offer, and we all have our own story to tell. So I would encourage everybody who participates to think about the time when they might be the next one up at the podium to tell us their story, because we all like to hear each other's stories. I'm very fortunate. Who were the people who inspired me growing up and through my career? As I talked about in my speech, I was very fortunate to have some real mentors during my job, which really helped me tremendously. And growing up, your family is always an inspiration. You look around you, and you can see people who are doing kind, good things every day. They're an inspiration for me, no matter how little or how small or how big those things are. So I think if you really want to, you can find inspiration in everybody. You just have to look for it. Well, I've frequently throughout my career been told that there is no chance for me to succeed for a number of different reasons. But I think the competitive person in me takes that as a personal challenge, and that if it's worth my time and energy, in my opinion, I can take that challenge and show them differently. So there's a number of books that I like to read, even though reading has become somewhat of a privilege because you don't have that much time to do it, so it's usually my airplane pastime. But there's two books that I've really enjoyed reading from a business perspective, and one is From Good to Great. They're both by the same author, McCormick, and the other one is Built to Last. And you can read them in any order. They all have meaning, and the examples in there really shaped some of my thinking from a business perspective as to how do you take something good, which can on occasion work against you, but how do you make it from good to great, which is the toughest thing to do. And it gives great examples about individuals who have done that as well as companies. So from a business perspective, I really enjoyed those two books, and once in a while go back and reread them just because you get something new out of them the second or the third time. One is be respectful to others. You just never know who they are. You've not walked in their shoes. I think if you really give people the benefit of the doubt first and listen to their story as opposed to judging them for whatever reason, that was a very, very powerful lesson in my life, in my early life. The second one would be make the best of what you have, and whatever that is, we're all different. And given that we're all different, thank goodness, you just have to figure out how to use the best of what you have and use it to your advantage and use it to your own pleasure. And then the third one would be work hard. Working hard is not just okay, it's actually critical. If you want to get someplace, yes, you can hope for a break, but I don't like strategies of hope. I think that it takes a lot of hard work to move forward in life, especially if you've come from a background of very little or little education. I wouldn't want to be that person today without a university degree trying to make it out there in this tough world of ours. But at the same time, I think hard work is critical for us to succeed in our really challenging world today. The most successful thing I've done in my life is to actually drive my exotic sports car around the track with 10 other guys that had a lot of testosterone flowing through their body. So to even be on the track with them was an amazing thing, let alone the exhilarating feeling that it gave me as to what that would be. Now, would that be a success in the grand scheme of things? Not necessarily, but that was a huge thing for me that day because it allowed me to focus on one thing and one thing only because you had to. So I would say that is an exhilarating experience for me. Well, my favorite source of information is many, because I think what you have to do is you have to assess a number of sources of information in order to come up with your own opinion. My favorite source of information is other people. I think that people have so much experience, so much background, so much to share. All you have to do is ask them. And I think that's where you get a combination of not just information, but information with experience. The person I would say thank you to is Bernard Florence, my fiance one day, my husband another day, my mentor, my boss when I take time off work and go work at the store with him. But he's clearly the person who's had the most influence and has been the biggest support of my life. I love him to pieces. I'm working on a really exciting project right now at SAP, and it's quite different for me. It's one where instead of driving the top line revenue, I'm working on a project that over the next number of years will actually put a lot of dollars back into our bottom line. And it's the right time, it's the right place to do that. We're using our own software, of course, in order to make our organization more effective, more efficient, and it will be a positive impact on over 10,000 of our people. So what's next for me is to make that a wild success, and I will do that. Here's my perspective on being a female in a very, very male-oriented, certainly industry. The information technology industry, when I started, was probably 90% male and 10% female, and that 10% of female was doing HR work or reception work or whatever. Definitely meaningful work, but definitely not work on the senior level. And I think what really counts is that if you're prepared to put in the time, if you're prepared to do the hard work, there is a point in time when it doesn't matter if you're male or female. There's a point in time when you're recognized for what you contribute, for what you do, for how you lead by example, for the results that you provide, and that has no label.